By the end of October, I promise we will not be tracking Hurricane Erin. We've been doing it, though, for 10 days. So I think a little Hurricane Erin fatigue is setting in at this point. But tomorrow will be our last day of tracking it. And after all these forecasts, we turn to nowcasting because a live look at radar shows some weaker, sporadic outer rain bands that will carry some gusty winds, barely pushing in to the eastern part of the Outer Banks. This is kind of what we expected back here at home. We've got some clouds, and that's what we'll have tomorrow, clouds and a light breeze. The bigger picture shows how big this storm is. In fact, if you measure it from top to bottom, that's about 700 miles tall. That's about how tall Texas is. All right, Texas, one of our biggest states, so this thing would nearly cover the state of Texas. So everyone on the East Coast has been watching it. We go back to some real-time wind gusts, not only over land, but also over ocean. We're dialed in live to some buoys, and it's these rain bands that usually carry with it the strongest wind gusts. 39 miles per hour is what a tropical storm force wind gust is. That's why they had the warning on the coast. And as you can see, in excess of 30 and 40 miles per hour offshore. Those winds will pick up a little bit overnight and tomorrow morning, and then improvements throughout the rest of the day. For us, our winds will be 10, maybe 15, maybe 20 miles an hour tomorrow. So a nice breezy, cloudy day, and it's comfortable out there tonight as we look live in downtown Durham from our Whitley Law Firm weather camera. It's 74 degrees. Listen, I've got a 10-day that doesn't have any 90s. I think we make it through the whole rest of the month without any 90s. So good news for us, while our friends on the coast got some bad news. Here's what your Thursday looks like. We start in the low 70s. We'll have a decent amount of cloud cover and, maybe a chance of rain later in the day. But that's not the big story. The big story, the clouds, the breeze, and another day below 90. Look for a high tomorrow of 84. All right, back to the coast we go. The latest from the National Hurricane Center, if you missed it off the top of the newscast, it is still a Category 2 hurricane. The Hurricane Hunter aircraft still out there investigating, keeping track for us. 110 miles per hour are the sustained winds, gusting up to 130. And it's still moving north at 16, still north but a little faster. We expect a northeasterly turn some point overnight, and then an increase in speed, and that will carry this system away throughout the day on Thursday. So right now, from Cape Hatteras to the eye of the storm, it's 215 miles. Again, that northeasterly turn overnight still is a Cat 2 early tomorrow morning, and then really starting to pick up speed, racing away later in the day. So we'll have improvements throughout the day. But tonight, we've got those rain bands on the coast. So let's go futurecast hour by hour. Maps go into motion. I think there'll be some weakening of the rain bands overnight. And then the system is starting to pull away by daybreak tomorrow. So the worst of the weather is early tomorrow morning for the Outer Banks, and then improvements later in the day. But for us, we'll be tracking something else later in the day Thursday. Our first cold front moves through. As for the tropical storm force winds, they will be around overnight for the Outer Banks through early tomorrow morning. And then look here, after lunchtime, improvements there as well. But if you haven't had enough tropics, look what we've got. A 70% chance of this tropical wave, a 40% chance of development for this tropical wave. Thankfully, the one closer to us is going to look to turn to the north even sooner than Erin did. So nothing to really worry about in the tropics right now. We've got to worry about some changes, because wait to see how cool it's going to get. So there's cold front number 1 tomorrow night with low 80s Friday and Saturday. Little chance of rain Sunday. We're back to school Monday, kids, with a high of 86, but we've also got another cold front there, and then that one will set us up for highs next week on your 10-day forecast around 80, with overnight lows possibly in the low 60s.